So this presentation is something that grew out of some work that Chris R. and I were doing. We gave this to Eastern New York and to other places, and basically I'm no longer, but I was a facilitator of Chicagoland for 2 years, and we've been doing CBDM for almost 15, 17 years. It's been a real long time, and in the Midwest Zonal Forum is 100% consensus, and they've been doing it for even longer than that. But what I just want to do is just share quickly about what we do in Chicago and the long-term benefits of doing it, which happened after doing it for as long as we have. You know, I was asked a question about concerns with Robert's Rules. We've heard a lot of this. You know, this is one thing Chris came up with. Robert's Rules has 816 pages. I mean, it's just long. It's you know, lots of rules, requirements, niceties. It's very divisive. It sort of creates an us versus them atmosphere. It makes compromise difficult because it doesn't encourage discussion. It encourages pros and cons and votes on an as-written motion. Amendments can go forward, but once they're drafted, they're kind of set in stone. And often it's also does a, you know, a simple majority or even 2/3 really reflect God's will, and most service bodies are now using a hybrid model. You know, and so consensus-based decision-making, woo-hoo, you know. By the way, you know, the 2018 conference was amazing, and Laura did an awesome job as co-facilitator, and you know, we really did come up with a whole different approach to handling new topics. And one of my big disappointments about the COVID situation is we were going to move that forward this year, and unfortunately that of course we couldn't do. But so yeah, we've been doing it for over 15 years, and we in Chicagoland, you don't have to be voted in to make a topic. Anyone can come and raise a topic. Anyone can join the conversation. We have an 80% consensus, but frankly, the longer we've done consensus-based decision-making, the fewer we ever take votes. I mean, we don't need to vote on many things because the way we approach it, we know that, as Dennis very beautifully put it, we're not starting with words, we're starting with concepts. And then once we agree on the concepts, we're fashioning the words afterwards. And when votes do arise, each of our 14 areas gets a vote, and trusted servants get a vote, except facilitators, they can vote. But most importantly, all votes can be heard and considered. You know, and as Laura and Dennis discussed, straw poll, it kind of starts with that. Any member can make a topic at any time. It doesn't have to be an RCM. During new business, the topic maker discusses their concerns and answers questions. And there's a difference between topics and proposals. Topics are just issues. And every once in a while, a proposal emerges out of that discussion. And if a proposal emerges out of it, that's when a careful facilitator hears it and says, hey, this idea's come out of it. What do y'all think? And so we take a quick straw poll. And if there's consensus, the decision's made. Because that poll usually was the product of already discussion. So the decision's made, no need to continue. And everyone's happy with that usually. You know, we don't, when I was facilitator, we didn't really have to worry about dissenting voices because they were already heard. And they already felt a part of it. You know, if there is no consensus, discussion continues. Facilitator listens carefully to find possible compromises. If a new proposal emerges, see if there is a consensus around it and continue discussion. If complete consensus does not emerge, take a vote and see if there's 80%. But like I say, we hardly vote on anything in Chicagoland anymore. You know, if there is no consensus, there are several options. We table the matter and have the relevant subcommittee consider it. We assign an ad hoc committee to investigate. If the proposal involves policy, goes to the policy committee, which it probably has to anyway, or else the proposal just dies. It just dies. You know, and whichever option the facilitator takes, he gets consensus from the body. Hey, I don't hear consensus on this, and I'm hearing, you know, lukewarm support and opposition, let's just move on and let this go. Or let's assign it to a committee or something like that. And one reason why the body feels buy-in is because they're involved in even that decision, and it really makes it wonderful. As Dennis mentioned and Laura mentioned, the role of the facilitator is huge. They manage the agenda. They make sure that all are able to speak or ask questions. And one thing that I, as a facilitator, learned how to do is that every group of people or assembly has some squeaky wheel, right? There's some person who when he talks, everyone rolls their eyes, who gets very little reception. And as a facilitator, what I've learned is what's usually behind that is that person has never actually been listened to. And that as a facilitator, I make sure that I listen to what people are saying in their own words and let them know that I want to hear what you're saying. I'm not going to talk over you. I want to hear what you're saying. And that's how I, as a facilitator, have been able to bring in some dissenting typical voices as part of our process, because those people often have the best ideas. And it's my job as a facilitator to make sure their good ideas come out. And sometimes you have to deal with their baggage, but that's the role of service, right? If we were all perfect, we wouldn't be here. So that's what I have to do. And then the other thing with the facilitators, I've got to be open-minded, unattached to any outcome. And frankly, the longer I was facilitator, the easier it got for, I don't care what you think. It's your decision. You know, to actually not make an opinion on something is a relief. It's like a giant third step thing. Oh, I don't need to make an opinion. You guys decide. It makes it easier. The most important thing that a facilitator has to do is listen, 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 listen. It's listening that most matters, but don't just listen. You have to hear, hear, and hear. And that, to me, is what's worked for me. Votes are rare. Budgets are supposed to be voted on, but there's no need if consensus is reached. Elections in Chicago, we do have paper ballots because we have gotten rid of that process of asking a person to leave the room and then harpooning them while they're gone. And so people can express their dissent in a paper ballot. And you may not want to be shown as opposed, but you'll do it in a paper ballot. So that helps. Motions of no confidence, that also requires a vote. Yeah, over time, everyone feels a part of it, you know, and learns to trust it. As I said, less than full consensus is rare. It's easier to accept an unfavorable outcome if you are in a small minority. And there's no need to manipulate the process. No stacking two pros and two cons. I've been part of Robert's Rules decisions where one tie was able to get their pro say, I favor it, and then not say anything else. And that was one of their 3 pros. You know, no need for that. You know, any member can raise a topic and participate. And easy decisions come really quickly, as Laura was saying. I mean, why do you have to get a motion to accept the minutes in a second? Just say, does anybody oppose this? Does anybody object? If no one objects, move on. That's the easiest thing to do. So many issues that come before the Chicago Service Body really, you know, were simple, but yet Robert's Rules put this burdensome requirement on motion, pro, con, discussion, blah, 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 and all this stuff, and most of the time it's not even necessary. Tough decisions do take a bit more time, but the final solution is always better when everyone has had a voice and all ideas have been considered. You know, tradition 2, anyone with experience doing CBDM will tell you a decision based on consensus feels a lot more in keeping with the spirit of tradition 2 than a decision formed by a simple majority or even a 2/3 majority. And I think I'm done.